That house is like 400 yards away.
Hit the dirt! Stay low! Incoming!
Deserters will be shot.
Today, we're going to be talking about mortars in Arma Reforger in 1.3 and how ideally they will be received by the community in the upcoming Arma Reforger update. If you happen to be watching this video around the time it's been released and you're wondering why you cannot connect to Arma Reforger servers, the developers of Arma Reforger are currently most likely being DDoSed right now. They've neither confirmed nor denied that, but this video is not going to be about that. This is how, ideally, mortars will work in Arma Reforger 1.3 when it hits live.
Artillery requesting a target. Enemy infantry spotted. I have a target for artillery.
So, getting into how to use the mortar. Once you have a mortar pit built, which you can build from a construction truck, you are going to want to establish an enemy position that has been called in by friendlies for mortar targeting. The way we get the bearing is by getting a protractor out. We put the center on where we are, and then we line it up with where that bearing is going to come out. In this case, it's going to be about bearing 104. We then rotate the protractor, and we get our distance. Once we go back into the mortar to aim it, we need to adjust the rings on the right-hand side, and you can see how far on the right-hand side each ring will send it. And over on the left is what we're currently set at and how much we're moving, and up top is our bearing. The next thing you gotta do is pull out your mortar shell, adjust your rings, and then from here, it is effectively fire and forget, but we always wanna do a test round like that. We know that we missed, and we need to shift our fire a little bit to the right. From here, it comes down to doing micro adjustments. And this is where working with a spotter is gonna be extremely effective. We know we're basically on target, there's gonna be a bit of a spread, and so here we're gonna do something like a fire for effect, which is we are gonna drop multiple rounds on the same area. Not only does this devastate enemy morale, but as you can see, building destruction, as well as vegetation destruction, is coming in Arma 1.3.
Hold this position!
Once you have a fire mission established and you're working with a team, I think you'd be surprised how quickly they will be reliant and want to call in your mortars consistently and constantly. I think one of the biggest tactics we're probably gonna see is the people who play Barbie at the arsenals. If you wanted to fire at targets indiscriminately without working with a spotter, my suggestion would be to aim at known bases, known enemy bases, especially ones that aren't under attack. People who are trying to build in their arsenal, they think they're safe. They are now going to be under constant threat of mortar attack, and it's going to force people to design better bases. We're shooting at a decent range here, you can kind of see the spread. I think the most other likely scenario you're going to run into.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Medic! Fall back!
Enemy scout spotted. I need artillery fire.
And how this most likely is going to get called across to us is we're going to get our friendly position quicker than we are probably going to get an enemy position. And they're going to say, there's an enemy 100 meters from me across the field to my east. They might be working with something to counter those mortars. And so this is where you're going to start to see the cast birds come into effect. Now, there are rocket birds in the vanilla game, which these have been modded for a while, I understand. But they are going to have a bit more of a devastating effect even on the modded servers. As you can see, they are now going to be removing the vegetation with their rocket runs. The good news is that helicopters in Arma Reforger are pretty easily compatible and easy to prevent from causing any massive destruction. The Americans are getting LAV 25, and the Russians are going to get another armored APC, well, technically an armored scout car. But both these things are going to have devastating effect on the helicopter, and so you're going to get back into this cat and mouse game. The mortar, though, if it is able to stay up and in a good position, will be able to consistently put out fire, unlike the helicopter, which will have to land, manually rearm, and manually repair. This is going to develop a battlefield where you have vehicle-on-vehicle combat with artillery and infantry playing respective roles, and it creates the cycle over and over again. I would expect helicopters to be the primary source of finding you. The other thing I want to talk about here is once the battlefield starts developing, you're gonna have to be a bit proactive in how you deal with using your mortars, because I don't think we're gonna get a lot of good calls for mortars initially. Number one, you're gonna have to be proactive about trying to get people to give you positions to mortar. But on top of that, if you know that an assault is taking place, you can immediately start pushing your fire to behind the enemy lines to cut off retreats, and you can try to anticipate how fast your friendlies are going to move. Mortars are going to be devastating. I look forward to it. Vegetation destruction, building destruction, I think is going to be fantastic. I like the mortars in Arma Reforger, what they're doing with them. This is up there with, I think one of the only other ones that's had a good one like this in my lifetime has been Hell Let Loose and Postscriptum and like Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2. There is a ranging table with time flights inside the arsenal box in the mortar pit. As a little bonus addition on the end here, one thing I would suggest is definitely put a backpack radio down if you are going to be operating in a mortar pit far away from a base. So that way you can spawn and be on the mortar in case you're counter batteried, in case there's a rocket run, maybe. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name's Rek. Hopefully we get the servers back soon. Peace out.
Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Hey, look, buddy. I'm an engineer. That means I solve problems. I solve practical problems.
I don't want you to tell us what you do. I want you to tell us who you are. Also, not your hobbies, Dave. Just simple. Tell us who you are.
My name is Rekral, or Rek for short.
You're describing your personality. I want to know who you are.
And I'm the train guy.
What the are you doing, Phil?